Welcome to the Rising Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and their journey. Now, let's get started with the show.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have CJ Bruce, founder, CEO, The Missing Ingredient, and we're going to go deep on that. And CJ, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. And maybe you just share some of the brands you like, but because the missing ingredient, as you can tell, help food and beverage companies with their marketing. And some of the ones I've had on, IQ Bar founder, I eat IQ Bar. So I like to have the companies that I eat and like on the podcast to talk about it. That's one of my favorites. I had the founder of Wild Tonic Kombucha, and that was a great one. I really love kombucha. There's so many, I don't know, I'm into protein bars. Wild Chips. I don't know if you've had these before. The chicken chips, and people joke around when they call me, like, what are you doing? Because I literally am always eating these chicken chips. They're made of chicken breast, except they're chips. So they're healthier, they're packed with protein. And I had the founder on after I love them, the barbecue, the salt and vinegar ones. I don't know. What are some of your favorite? We'll go on with your intro, but some of your favorite brands that you like.
So many brands, so many. I'm in
what
the same
are the
boat
ones
of
you
things
actually
that I snack on.
Yeah, what do you snack on?
Yeah, I think Annie's homegrown comes to mind, especially with the kids, and getting again kind of the better for you comfort foods. Siete Foods, I really like their whole line on the chip side, but also their dips that they've got.
I haven't seen their dips. Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, they've got a queso. That's pretty solid. Miyoko's on the plant-based
What is it
spreads,
called?
butters. Miyoko's Creamery. They're in Northern California. Another really great brand. Oatly, just from a product plus the marketing perspective, I love the way that they've done all their marketing, communications, copywriting. Really great in there. I mean, I could go on and on. But those are something that come to mind.
One that stuck out on your site for me, I mean, there's a lot because you have healthier brands and things, but the Yuga, because I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, nice.
Talk about Yuga for a second.
Yeah, so Yuga, unfortunately, Yuga is no longer around, but it was a plant-based yogurt. And so they had a chia-based, but there's there are other good yogurt brands. Siggi's, actually, I like Siggi's. They have a dairy-free line that's got a good amount of protein, and it's just a nice, they did a really good job with that one. So that's another go-to in our house. Or Harmless Harvest, another dairy-free yogurt brand that we frequent.
I love it. No, I'm making a grocery list as you're talking, so I appreciate that. So before I formally introduce CJ, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help businesses connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. We do that in a few ways. One, we're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do the strategy, accountability, and the full execution and production. Number two, we're an easy button for a company's gifting. So we make gifting and staying top of mind for clients. It could be partners, it could be prospects, it could be even staff from a culture perspective. Simple, easy, and affordable. So you just send us the list of your addresses and we do everything else. So it's not like a one-off gift, CJ. It's kind of like, think 3 gifts a year for 5 years type of thing. And I don't like getting a pen or a mug. So usually these are food-related items that people are excited to open and eat because I like to get food, right? And so for me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. So I always want to give to my best relationships, and I found no better way to profile the people and companies I admire on the podcast and to send them sweet treats in the mail. So if you have questions, go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. I am super excited to introduce CJ Bruce. As I was saying, he's CEO and partner at 2 prior agencies. He branched out to start his own food marketing agency, The Missing Ingredient, in 2016. And his team of 15 people provide digital marketing, paid media, influencer relations, AI services to growing food and beverage brands. And some of the current and past clients we mentioned include Amy's Kitchen, Sumo Citrus, Baskin-Robbins, Milk Bar, and many more. And CJ, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Jeremy. Happy to be here.
So I'm going to pull up your site here and just talk about The Missing Ingredient and what you do a little bit deeper.
Awesome. So yeah, so like you said, we're a food marketing agency, and so we really help food and beverage brands grow. And so a lot of it is, driving awareness about the products, the benefits, how it fits into your lifestyle, and then moving people through that marketing funnel to consideration and ultimately purchase. And we work with brands both that sell D2C, to direct to consumer, or online via Amazon or other marketplaces, as well as supporting retail sales. So when brands have, national or regional distribution and need to get that foot traffic, drive the velocity in the store, we have our suite of services and playbook that really help scale those brands.
So I'm curious, you know, why food and beverage, right? I mean, there's a lot of niches out there. I'm curious why you chose those.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm personally very passionate about food and beverage. And the brief history was when I set out to start the agency. So prior to this, you mentioned I have other agencies, and we were essentially a vendor for really large brands. So I was working with, IKEA and Airbnb and Gatorade and Ford. And while that was exciting
What
and
kind of
learned a
stuff were you
lot,
doing with them? Like, what were you doing with those big
primarily
brands?
video. So we were doing viral video campaigns, video SEO, early days YouTube influencers. So this was, starting back in 2007, 2008, through around 2015. And then the taking that skill set, and I wanted to bring it to, companies and organizations that I really cared about. So when I very first started the agency, and we actually had a different name, it was working with, anyone that was having a positive impact and that we could help scale that impact. And
Mission-based
then
companies.
exactly. And then a couple of years in, about half the work had been food and beverage, and I was like, we need to focus more. And then we doubled down. And like I mentioned, I am personally passionate about it. So from a health perspective, I think food has the potential to have some of the biggest impacts on, individuals, the planet. And it's just it's fun. It's fun visually. You get to eat the products, the clients that you work with, right? You get to eat their food. You
I
get
would
to
have a sign,
share
"We'll
that.
work for food." Like, yeah, oh, you're
Yes.
paying us too? Oh, you just had to send me a bunch of Sumo Citrus. It's fine.
Yeah. The samples alone help it. So yeah, I've done my own food stuff. I have my own food influencer brand. I've done some, little catering things. So
What
I'm
is,
I'm
talk
pretty
about
deep
that,
into it.
your food influencer brand.
So it's dormant now. So don't if you look out there, I've had to stop that to focus on the agency. But it was called Vegetarian Dude, and I was doing recipes and content, and it's still there on Instagram and other channels. It is not active, but that started from there. And then, like I said, I was doing some pop-ups. I used to live in LA and did a few pop-up dinners. Did some kind of catering at
Are you
some
vegetarian?
backyard concerts. I'm pescatarian now,
Pescatarian.
so it's evolved. The diet and eating has evolved. Vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian. So that's where I am today. But I love to cook. I am a certified plant-based chef also. So anyway, I go deep
Wow.
on
I need to
the
hire
food
you.
side. Happy
It's
to nerd
funny.
out.
I was funny because and I don't know if you've seen this before. Whenever I think of that vegetarian, I think of, have you watched the YouTube JP Sears YouTube videos before? He's got if meat eaters acted like vegetarians, and it's just a very funny. I don't know. I found it
I
hilarious.
haven't seen that. I'll
Maybe
have
it
to look at
offends
it.
some people, maybe not. I don't know. But I'll send it to you when we're done. But it's so funny. If meat eaters acted like sorry, not vegetarians, vegans. If meat eaters acted like vegans is the video.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't get offended on any of it. So
okay.
I'm
So I'm just curious from a business perspective, when you decided you're like, we're going to double down, right? We have most of our clients are in food and beverage. Is that a scary moment? Or are you thinking, well, we're going to, kind of not attract other people? What was your thought process there at that point? Because now it sounds obvious, maybe it seems obvious, but maybe at that point it wasn't or it was scary.
Yeah, it's a great question. So a few things led to it. One was my general analysis of the business. We'd also gone through, been on multiple pitches. We're just saying that we want to work with people who are having an impact wasn't enough of a differentiator. And then I'll also give a shout out to Jason Swank, who I joined his agency mastermind group for a period of time, and that was part of the learning that really was my key takeaway that came out of that. was the need to focus. And then it was scary though, because at the time we were working with many different kinds of brands. We had large projects that were not food and beverage. And so the idea of cutting off a certain part of the business to focus on something that was a little uncertain, it was a bit of a leap of faith. However, I was motivated and again digging into it myself and thinking through all of the benefits there, right? Part of the challenge when you're a general purpose agency, you have to get onboarded and understand the industries and the nuances and all of that. And so being able to focus on one and where I'm already excited, interested, trying snacks myself, to me is a competitive advantage. And then we've seen that compound over the years as we've gone deeper and deeper and just better understand the whole ecosystem, not just the services that we provide, but actually the brands that we work with, all the challenges and opportunities and things they deal with outside of just our realm, like makes everything we do better and helps us build better relationships.
CJ, I don't know anyone growing up who says themselves, I want to be an agency owner. And so I know you went to Arizona, study communication and things. At that point in your life, what were you thinking you wanted to do?
So film, I wanted to make movies. That's really where it started for me. So I was a double major in film and political science, and the political science piece came shortly after I started, and that was just kind of personally trying to navigate that and understand that. So that was also kind of the impact piece early on, right? Well, how do you actually have an impact in the current systems? So that was my goal. That's what I went to school for, and then that's also I moved to LA right after that to get into the movie business, which I was in briefly, doing visual effects and producing my own
It's a lot of work.
content. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and the film industry I think is also has a lot of challenges. Like it's very inefficient, right? It's very old school, and a lot of that didn't totally connect with what I wanted in my life and my lifestyle. And I've always been a nerd. I've always been a computer nerd. I've always liked to try new technologies. And so, evolving from that, I like to say, like, I came to make my own content. And then it was, how do I get people to see this content that aren't my friends and family? And that's what got me into marketing. And then I realized I was better at getting people to see content than I was at making my own. And then that kind of turned me into the marketing side of things
Yeah, I
more
mean, I could also
than the
see
film and TV.
how like you actually were doing a lot of both the combination of marketing and video for these big brands. So it's kind of like the perfect combination of those skills.
Yeah. And it still feels like that, the combination of the technical and creative, which is just that's what lights me up.
I want to talk about AI. AI is always a hot topic, and I know, talk and utilize a lot of AI for and with your clients. Can you talk about that?
Yes, big topic. A lot of pieces moving quickly. So we've been digging into AI for quite a while, and it really started even before the ChatGPT craze, where machine learning and kind of back-end AI that was happening within ad platforms. So Meta and Google, right? They were already using AI. So we were figuring out, how do we feed those systems with the right kinds of content and inputs to get better results for our clients. And then since the kind of GPT explosion, so coming forward to today, so there's a few things that we look at. One is, how do we incorporate AI in a way where it actually enhances the work and makes more things possible, and it's not fully replacing the work. So we think about a human in the loop workflow, or going from human to AI to human. So that's one key piece where our team, our strategists, we're starting the process using AI to generate ideas, concepts, drafts, and then we're iterating with AI, and then we're doing that final pass to edit it. So that's happening now, where we have essentially kind of co-pilots is how you could think about it, with the team to support as we're executing, and then more and more we're building in fully automated workflows that are possible with AI. So an example that we're rolling out now is reporting. That takes a lot of time for an agency. You have to do a lot of compliance, a lot of channels, analyzing that. And so leveraging AI to actually do an initial pass on a reporting. And this isn't something where it's, an individual person going in and putting something into ChatGPT. It's actually custom software where it's reading everything from a example, like a client's email account, What did they send? What were the results? How does that compare to previous results? Making some recommendations, saving, a couple hours of time per client per week for each report, and that all being automatically done with AI that then gets delivered to our email marketing manager to then add, additional context and analysis. So that's a huge piece. And then I'll say one more thing. I could probably talk about this for the entire time, but I'll say one more piece, which is, we talked about, I've been in digital marketing for a long time. And at the beginning for me, it was, it was YouTube focused. And it was this moment where it's just, YouTube is an incredible platform. And now people can create content, distribute it anywhere to anyone. And it just opens up all of these possibilities of people who used to, the amount of people who could advertise on TV was pretty small. You had to produce content, that was expensive. You had to buy airtime, that was expensive. All of a sudden, between digital cameras and then mobile phones, and now YouTube and distribution, all of those costs went down and content exploded. And I think the same thing is happening now with AI. It's going to touch a lot of things, but one area that I think is exciting is software development or custom, campaigns, custom apps, where the cost to create those is dropping rapidly. And that opens up the ability where all of a sudden now these things become capabilities that, small to medium-sized brands can actually take advantage of and build their own software and also build kind of marketing campaigns around custom sites and apps that wasn't previously possible.
Yeah, let's go a little deeper on that. Maybe, I don't know, AI tools or tech stack in AI that you are looking at when it comes to those custom apps. I know I just got off an interview with Gazenfor of Technology Rivers, and he was talking about Anthropic and how he uses it to connect AI to different tools to give him, so he's just an entry point. And I was saying that to you, and you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, I know that. And I was like, oh, this is like mind blowing. So I'm curious, what other types of tools, tech in AI have you played with, heard of, or used that people should check out?
Yeah, so we're using a number of tools. So we have the core, Google tools. So Gemini, that's built into Google Workspace, and so we're using Gemini. We're using Nano Banana, which is to generate images, also within the Google world. Veo or Veo, that's their video generator. So playing with that, and kind of testing the limits. Like we don't have a lot of that that's running live in production yet, but we're testing and playing with those. We have GPT, so we have the GPT teams that we're using. So everybody on the team is on GPT. We have custom GPTs that we've built for specific use cases. Also using Claude. So Claude is Anthropic's version of GPT. It tends to be a little better at writing and a little better at code. And then we've started experimenting with Claude Code, which is also from Anthropic, and that's really just kind of a mind-blowing tool, in my opinion. It's very technical. It's not as easy as a chat interface, but it allows to just write code and actually develop and test and deploy custom software. And then another tool is N8N, which is a workflow automation tool. And so we've been using Zapier, which is a similar but different tool for a long time to kind of do these automations. And N8N just takes it to a whole nother level. And again, you can incorporate AI within those workflows. And so we're actively using that. And then I'd say those are the core tools. Sorry, one more core tool that I forgot to mention. It's a big one for us is Notion. And so Notion, we've been on Notion for a few years. We use it as a knowledge base. So all of our SOPs are in Notion. All of our meeting notes go into Notion. But Notion has a database structure, and then they have their AI, Notion AI, which is using some of these other models. But what's nice about Notion, because we have all of our information in there, and they have their enterprise search, which connects to our Slack, it connects to our Google Calendar, our Gmail, that you can then access all of these different channels within one place. And so we can chat with Notion AI, and it has the context of the whole thing that we're talking about, which is really powerful. And I'm a big believer in
It's connected to all your
Notion.
stuff, so like it really is context when you ask it a question or need data or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other piece that's really nice about it is because it's built around databases as the core infrastructure in Notion. that it allows you to build essentially your own custom applications in a very lightweight way. And so we have our, our influencer contact database. So all of our food and beverage influencers we store in Notion, and then we can query that. We can run campaigns around that. The whole process is managed there. And so it just creates this whole knowledge base and then allows us again to build these custom experiences on top of it in a very lightweight way. So big fan of Notion as well.
I'm wondering if you heard or played around with Cursor. I had someone on who's seemed very technical. So and when I pulled up, he's like, we use Cursor for everything. Kind of like similar to how you were saying with Claude Code, except they're like, we do everything in Cursor. I'm not sure. I'm curious your take on that. If you played around with
Yeah,
it.
I've played around with it a little bit. It's interesting because in my journey, like I mentioned, I've always been a nerd and I've been into coding and programming. I wouldn't consider myself a software engineer. But I had, way back when I was 13, I got a book on C++ because I wanted to figure out how to write my own video games, right? I wanted to make my own video games. I was like, oh, I need to learn how to program. So I've dabbled a lot. And when I had the YouTube agency, I built like a very simple tool to estimate how much people were spending on their YouTube ads, or if this YouTube content was like truly viral or if it was promoted with ads.
Yeah,
So
totally.
I've done,
Yeah.
but so I think long way to answer your question, my experience with Cursor is like if I was a true developer, software engineer using a coding interface, which is, what Cursor is, where you like write your code and then you're working with AI to build it as well. I could see the value there and how that would be awesome and you'd be able to dig in. What I like about Claude Code is I don't know the code, right? I don't know that much about code. I just tell Claude, hey, I want to build this thing and I want it to do this. Okay, Claude goes and builds it, and then I check it. I tell it what went wrong or what else I want to change, and it goes and does it. So that's where, I think there's some difference. And again, I would say I'm an expert on exactly how that piece of it works. But there's a lot of nuance and a lot of it is being, I think, evolving in real time as well.
You mentioned CJ viral video. And so I'd love to hear, I remember when I had one of the Harmon brothers. I don't know if you've heard of their
Yeah,
stuff on the podcast. And it was shocking. Maybe it shouldn't have been shocking to me, but it wasn't actually viral. Like they spent millions of dollars in ads and then it starts going viral. So I'm wondering when you analyzed, truly you were analyzing viral videos. They didn't put millions of dollars behind it. And because then it picks up steam and it becomes the virality, obviously, increases because of that. What were some of the things people are doing or that you saw to actually a true viral video? We'll define right now as there was no paid ads behind it. It just went viral somehow. I don't know if there's like maybe it's luck. I don't know. But what were some of the elements maybe you found across videos, right? Because you're doing it for these brands too. That is part of the viral secret sauce, I guess.
Yeah, I think luck is a component, for sure. I think some other and a lot of the pieces would have paid behind it. There's also I would draw a distinction too in just how much paid. So there could be a little bit of paid versus, it's all
Yeah, you
paid,
spend $100
right?
versus $1 million. It's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So you spend, $100 to get a little bit of viewership initially to show the social proof, and then that helps to drive it. So there's something about that with momentum, and you see this with social followers as well, right? Like 0 to 10K on Instagram is the hardest to get to, right? Once you get to 100K going up, it starts to scale faster. But so I think that, timing is a big piece. So, and like the strategy up front, right? Those are key elements. So one example of a viral video that we worked on with IKEA, and this is maybe dating myself here, but they had a Apple, right? Apple has their annual event in September, right? And they always had these videos kind of introducing the new products and on all of that. And so part of the strategy with IKEA, they have their catalog that comes out. And so it's the Apple MacBook, right? I think that's how it was positioned. So it was the IKEA book because it was actually a physical book. And so they shot a piece that was acting as if it was a new Apple product being launched, but it was just the IKEA catalog that was coming out, right? And then released that like 2 weeks before the Apple event. And then this to answer your question, I'm like helping it go viral. It was a PR play. So then we reached out to a bunch of publications with this piece of content. Everybody's looking to write something about Apple. People love to read things about Apple. It gets clicks. So then all these publications picked up what IKEA was doing. And then that sparked it. That gave it the social proof. There was a little bit of paid again, just like there were some views on the video when we pitched it, and that helped it go. So that was a big piece. Working with talent also. So having a celebrity in there always helps. Having influencers in there always helps. Tapping into trends as well. So, and that connects with the timing. So like more moving it up to today. So like viral video trends. So like an example that we did previously with Sumo Citrus, one of our clients, where they had TikTok trends with some of the trends you described.
I was going to say,
what are you talking about?
it's, I don't know. One of my daughters saw some video about Dubai chocolate, right? And
Yeah.
I'm sure pistachio cream has gone through the roof in the past year or something, because she's like, oh, let's make it. Okay. So we bought the katifi, whatever, shredded thing, phyllo dough. We bought lots of chocolate. We brought the, plant-based pistachio cream so I can eat it, and because I'm lactose intolerant. And I've bought, who knows, like 10 jars of this stuff in the past like couple months. And that was from seeing something through TikTok. She doesn't even have TikTok actually. So, but it was started on TikTok. So it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and that was just on that trend. Even I was at the Winter Fancy Fair show by the Specialty Food Association in San Diego just the other week. And, Dubai chocolate is everywhere, right? Everywhere. So
Everywhere.
many Dubai chocolate, this, that, the other thing. And there's some, food service with a giant container of, with a pistachio chocolate cream.
You go to
And
Sumo Citrus. We should come with the Sumo Citrus Dubai. That would not go together, but yeah.
Maybe. Chocolate covered Sumo Citrus with a little sea salt is one of the most popular recipes.
Really?
So,
oh, nice.
yeah. Food trends starting on TikTok, and then that scaling into actual, sales and people making the product, and then that turning into product development, right? All of those things happen. And then just one thing I want to circle back with the viral video for Sumo. So like a TikTok trend that's totally random seeming, which was this trend of me as a baby. This is a couple years ago, but the basic idea was like people were showing their kids like a ridiculous video and telling them that it was them as a baby. And they were like, oh yeah, I remember that, and it was just like totally over the top. It was very funny. And then, we pitched and ran something like that for Sumo, and it ended up getting over 1 million views organically. And it was one of those conversations where you're like, yeah, this seems weird. You don't know why, but this is happening, but we should try and take advantage of this, right? And turn around, produced it. And then those are the results.
Yeah, it's a weird trend that you hop on. You mentioned the Winter Fancy Fair. Talk about maybe some of the interesting products, brands, people that you came across.
Yeah, there were a lot at the show. I think I'd say some of the maybe talk about, some of the trends and things there. Dubai chocolate was definitely a thing. Protein maxing, still a thing, just like protein in everything.
They slap protein. I'm seeing water that everywhere. Yeah, totally.
So you're like, okay.
All these name brands like Cheerios now has like a protein. It just put protein on. I don't even know if they changed the ingredients, but it just has protein on.
Yeah, you see that too, right? It's gluten free. It's like, well, it's always been gluten free, but
right.
Now we're going to talk about it, And then fiber is kind of up and coming, where there's a lot of products with, calling out the fiber content, and fiber being the new protein, and trying to push that. So I think that, those were interesting trends to see for sure come through the show. And then I think this interesting push to this tension with AI. So we talked a lot about, the technical side and the benefits of that, and all the, all those shifts that are happening. And at the same time, we're seeing, people want more human connection. There's some skepticism around AI, and then how does that relate to food? And so the experience of eating and sharing that, and how do you convey that? And, where do brands lie with, their usage of AI or not? it was definitely a topic of conversation that, that came up a lot at the show as well.
Is it more of a trade show or are there speakers? How does it work?
Uh, there is some speaking, more of a trade show though. It's mostly, the main thing for me at least is, walking the floor, brands are exhibiting, and then it's really like buyers and distributors. So like distribution and retail, that's what the brands are mainly looking for. But there's also some, some connection, some education. So like a trend panel, for example, and marketplaces where people can, showcase and try the product, tasting a lot of food. uh, yeah, it's a fun show. And the Specialty Food Association, they have that, and then they have the Winter Fancy Food Show. Or sorry, the Summer Fancy Food Show that's in um, New York. So they
Any
two
brands
seasonal
stick
shows.
out to you? I'm looking if you're watching the video here, there's a summer fancy food show, the winter fancy fair. Any
Yeah,
interesting brands that you thought were cool?
yeah, there were a number of
There's so
of
many.
brands. I know there's so many. So I'll say there was a Pura beverage company. So that was one. So they had a soda, which was about half the sugar of a normal soda. So there's a lot of, low soda product, or sorry, low sugar sodas that are out there. What I liked about theirs was that it was real sugar. So it was just half the amount, but it was cane sugar. There weren't any artificial sweeteners in the mix.
I
So
don't even
you,
want to know. Like I buy like ice,
Mhm.
and if someone asked me, I look, it's like a paragraph of ingredients, and I'm like, I like the taste. I'm like, I should not be drinking this probably, but I do like the taste.
It's
So I
I don't
get it.
knock it. I'll have a Diet Coke here and there,
This
and I'm
is one
not
of my
gonna,
favorites,
get
bitchin'
knocked down
sauce.
about it.
Bitchin' sauce is one of my favorites here. I
Love
can
bitchin'
see.
sauce.
Oh, so good.
Yeah,
Anyway, so Pura, that was one
Chipotle.
that you liked. Any others?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I'll throw out a smaller one. Philosopher Foods. They had a product called Gut Nuts. So it's a
What?
small, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Someone around
Well,
the.
it's
Okay.
probiotic nuts. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. It's just, yeah. Anyways.
Bread seriously, actually, that you had on that list too. Sorry,
Oh,
yeah, the
right here.
probiotic nuts, delicious, great flavor. Bread seriously, it's a gluten-free bread. They have their cinnamon raisin, especially is really
I'm like a
really
13-year-old
delicious.
boy. Sorry, I laugh at those things.
It's okay.
Um,
I support you.
but yeah, so here you do protein popcorn, right? That's like
Yep.
uh any others that stick out? Let's see.
Yeah, Mochi Love.
Mochi, yeah, I saw that
Um,
one. What is
so
that?
yeah, Mochi Love. So they're these delicious like cream-filled mochi. So it's a refrigerated product. It's really high end. They source it from France, and so it's like a two-pack. Uh, really, really delicious product. They're also in Northern California. So that was another fun one. And then let's see some other fun names here. Lil Bucks. It's like a
Where's the
fun name. I'm spitting them off of my head. I'm not
Oh,
on
okay.
your list here, but they're buckwheat snacks. So just yummy, crunchy, again, better kind of in the better for you category. And
One thing
keep
that
going.
stuck out, you mentioned the viral videos part, CJ, is and when I was looking at your website, the services part, right? I know you do a lot of things. You do social media, you do influencer marketing, Google Ads, email marketing, SEO, content, Amazon ads. I thought it was interesting. The Instacart ads, I don't even think of that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Instacart ads, Walmart, there's so much here, AI consulting, AI workflow. One thing that stuck out was and you mentioned this with the viral video, which is the influencer marketing, right? And I'm curious, because like I think of that as far as like partnerships is the highest leverage thing I think that a lot of business can do, and that is probably helps people put this on steroids, right? So maybe talk about some of the things you've seen, maybe some mistakes people make with influencer marketing, because there's a lot that goes into it. Even like when I was reading through the description here, I mean, we're talking about talent sourcing, contract negotiation, content direction, campaign management, content license. There's so much here. What are some mistakes people make with when they're thinking about influencer marketing?
Yeah, it's a great question. So a few of the most common mistakes people make with influencer marketing, I would say One is being too transactional. So that's a big one, right? We really frame it up internally as influencer relations, and you're building relationships, right? These are people. It's not someone you just pay for a post and then it's very cold. So you just get better results all around and actually building the relationships. Another one is thinking about it as one and done. It really, the best results come from repeated posts and ongoing partnership relationship. And I equate this to, media buying, like the old adage in media buying, right? You're looking at reach and frequency, right? How many people are you reaching and how often are they seeing your ads? Think about influencer partnerships in the same way, right? When an influencer posts, only a small percentage, 5 to 10% of their audience is going to see that post. You need to continually post to see more, have their content be seen by more of their audience. They get to know your brand better, the content gets better, it builds up over time. So that's a key piece. I think another piece is just focusing, or another mistake people make is just focusing on follower count. So people can have 1 million followers and have no engagement. And so really thinking about, we see the sweet spot more with micro influencers where they have a more engaged following. They're excited to work with brands and you get better results overall. And so thinking about that from like, well, is this truly going to get the engagement that we want and not just show a big number? And then thinking about, you know, engaging with the influencers as well. So like when somebody posts for you, it's not just, okay, let's wait and see, watch the money roll in, right? Like go and engage with them. So comment on their posts, reply to people who are commenting to their posts, right? And
100%.
that whole
It's
back and
like,
forth.
I don't know if it's not a laziness, but I think people just don't think of it. Because like I'll post about someone on LinkedIn. It's literally all about their company, nothing about me. And then the person doesn't like it, share it, comment on it. So I literally will text them, hey, why are you being lazy? Like, this is literally about you. Go and like it and comment. I'm like, go engage with it. We just created a piece of marketing for you. So it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's obvious, it's already done, it's out there. Now, propel it somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. So doing that and planning for that, right? It's like you need to allocate resources to that. Like we'll do that on behalf of clients, but sometimes clients, you have an in-house social team. You need to be ready to do that, not just what's happening on your channel, but also anybody who's talking about you.
And will identify these kind of micro influencers. I remember I was talking to someone and they said they sold more books on a very small podcast appearance, like small audience, than they did on the Today Show, right? Like you're
Yeah.
talking about engagement versus, having a huge reach, right? Do you help people kind of identify these micro influencers within their niche?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have our own database. We always do custom research for every client. And so we put together a brief on, what are the key points that we want them to talk about? What type of audience are we trying to reach, right? What type of content are we trying to create? And then based on that, that executes our research. So again, starting with our core database, and then we go beyond that to build a list for the client. And then we handle the whole process. So we're reaching out, we're vetting both in terms of their engagement, the type of content that they make, the budget, making sure all of that fits, and then we narrow it down to the key influencers we want to work with, and then the content production, managing that whole aspect, and then also the once it's posted, right, analyzing what worked and what didn't work, what were the results we saw. And this is another connected to this point on the mistakes people make and kind of connects to the one-off is, again, drawing parallels to paid media where people know that, okay, I got to spend money to learn and I'm going to iterate and see what the results were and then make changes. Thinking about this in the same way, like an influencer creates a piece of content, maybe it doesn't perform as well as you thought it would. Don't just write that off. It's like, well, dig into it a little more, right? What was the format of the content? What were they talking about? What was the hook in the content? So iterating and evolving that. And sometimes you don't know what's going to perform until it goes up, right? So we might start with the
It's all a
larger group,
test.
couple work, then you go deeper. So yeah, it's always test and learn is core. Continuous improvement is one of our core values. So we apply that internally, externally, everything we do.
You mentioned, Sumo Citrus and some bits and pieces here, but I kind of want to break it down a little bit about what are all the things you did with them because it seems like a very to me like a hard campaign to like promote something like a fruit like this. Like, how do you measure it? Like, someone goes to the grocery store and gets it. I don't know. So, when you first started working with them, where'd you start? Like, what were some of the things you were doing with them?
So the very beginning, we, starts with strategy. So it was really, where are you selling the product? What are the goals for the brand and the organization? Understanding what existing capabilities they had, and they had recently rebranded and new packaging, right? And it was like the mission was really how do we grow the brand? How do we really drive true brand awareness and adoption for Sumo Citrus? And then working within the budget constraints, again, the key distribution, and then coming up with a strategy uh, to begin that growth. And so that was where it started, and it was heavily, digital, social, influencer component from the beginning. And part of that came from, they already had some start to a following on Instagram, and they had a couple influencers talk about
Like,
them.
what kind of influencers are talking about like a Sumo Citrus product?
A lot.
Like
It
chefs,
is.
or I'm just trying to
No,
visualize.
much more
Yeah,
broad. So the
right.
one of
Yeah.
the first big ones was Ava Chen, who she's more like the fashion lifestyle side. And so she would,
As you can see
post.
from me, I'm not a fashion person. Maybe I need to follow her. But
Maybe.
yeah, yeah.
But posting things like, this is like her outfit of the day, and she's got a Sumo Citrus, right? Or like, here are my shoes
Yeah.
for the day, and Sumo Citrus is a part of that. But really, it had a core cult following. And that was something from the beginning. Like, people who knew it loved it. So I told a friend that I was working on Sumo Citrus, and he was immediately like, "You're working on Sumo Citrus? I love Sumo Citrus. Like, I haven't even tried it
I feel
yet."
like I'm doing my job.
Yeah, but that reaction, happens again and again and again. And so, you can fast forward me seeing now like where we are today. So we're currently in Sumo Citrus season. It's the 2026 season. And we have, there's out of home ads that we're managing. We have TV, connected TV.
Wow.
We grew their whole email marketing program from zero, right? There was no email, which is another, piece people are often, they think about, we sell at retail. Like, why would we build an email list? It's obvious for D2C.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of value in having one, you're owning your own data, right? And as you get people on that list, the cost for you to communicate with those people continuously over time is much lower than the cost to continue to reach people with paid media every time. And then we start to enrich the data. We can survey the list. We understand who they are, where they are. And so that the value there really grows over time. And we can target those subscribers with ads across all channels. So people come in, and now we have a core list. We could target that across any ad platform. So that's been a big piece. And
I'm gonna
yeah,
just talk about the email piece for a second, because my question was gonna be, how do you entice someone to sign up for an email for a Sumo Citrus product, right? And I'm looking, okay, makes sense. Like, I'm looking here, which is okay. There's recipes that would entice them. So branded swag entices them. Is there anything that surprised you on what will entice someone to join an email list to pursue a citrus?
yeah, I think I don't know if it surprised me, but I think one of the biggest drivers is running sweepstakes and contests,
Okay,
right? People
talk
love to
about
win
that.
stuff. And so
Like a
we'll do, so we
lifetime
have
supply of Sumo Citrus. Like, what's the sweepstakes?
so actually one of the best performing things has been win free Sumo Citrus for the season. So we run that. That's a preseason. So we ran that in December, right? You have sign up for the email list, and there's other things you can do to get extra entries, right? That drive some virality. And then you have a chance to win. Basically we send you a box of Sumo Citrus every month in season.
Sign me up.
So that's great, right? And then we do larger, kind of different interest targeted sweepstakes during the season. So this year, right now, we're running Joyride sweepstakes, which is basically getting your like winter vacation, right? So it's $10,000 in like a winter vacation Sumo Citrus sweepstakes, and we're also that's paired with a mobile tour we're doing where we are going to be at multiple locations at ski resorts throughout ski season. So obviously it's winter time. Sumo citrus is a winter fruit. It pairs with the ski snowboard activity community. And so that's kind of how we're doing that across channels, right? But that type of sweepstakes drives an interested audience. people sign up again for a chance to win. And then we measure, obviously some of those people sign up just for the chance and then they bounce. But over time, what you start to build, these people are engaged. We clean the list of people who don't engage. And then we get, we get comments like, to your point earlier, I'm on a list for a citrus fruit, and somebody, I don't know how I got on this list for this citrus fruit, but I just got this great email, right? And somebody posts that on Instagram. So it's, if you could do it for a citrus fruit, you could do it for anything.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, if you could do this for Sumo Citrus, like you could do this for any type of product. CJ, first of all, I have one last question. Before I ask it, I just want to point people to check out themissingingredient.com to learn more, and you can check them out there. My last question is just, you mentioned some events. I'm curious, what are some of your favorite events that you have attended, that you want to attend in the space? What are some of those?
Yeah, I think so. We talked about the Winter Fancy Fair. I think other things coming up. Expo West is, the Natural Products Expo. That's probably the biggest show. So that one's coming up. In the past, I've attended Nosh Live and BevNet Live. So Nosh being the kind of natural food side and BevNet being the beverage side. That's been great. I want to attend Newtopia, which is I was in Boulder at least last year. So that's kind of a smaller show, a little more intimate show. Would be interested in that. The Summer Fancy Food Show as well. And then another one I'll call out is the Naturally Network. So Naturally Network has chapters across the country, and so I'm a member of the Naturally NorCal. There's Naturally San Diego that did some stuff with the Winter Fancy Fair. So those are kind of like regional chapters, and they do their own smaller events and groups that I think are really great.
And Conscious Capitalism, I don't know if it still is a conference. It had a conference. I think it does, and you were involved with that too, right?
Yeah, when I was in LA, I was on the board of the CCLA, Conscious Capitalism LA chapter. And so we did a number of local events. They do have a larger, national event as well. And I was on the board as co-president in my last year there, which was a challenging. It was COVID hit, and so then our whole thing was around in-person events and connecting people, and so there was a lot of pivoting and moving dynamically to fit that. But yeah, the Conscious Capitalism community is definitely another one to check out.
Love it. CJ, everyone check out themissingingredient.com. Check out more episodes of the podcast. We'll see everyone next time. CJ, thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to the Rising Entrepreneurs Podcast. This episode is powered by Rise 25. Please subscribe and check out future episodes.